Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, let me start this Bava Metzia daf ayin. We're going to begin on ayin Amadav, third line from the top. Amar Ba'anan Amar Shmuel. Moishel Yisaimim. When it comes to the monies of orphans, mutter lavoisin beribis. It's pretty hard to imagine, but it says you can actually charge ribis. You can allow them to profit from interest. So Amalei Rab Nachman Mishum Diasminin who Svinu hu Isura. It doesn't make any sense. Just because they're Yusaimim and we want to be nice to them, we're just going to allow them to engage in an Isser of ribis. So Yasmi di Achle Dolav did hu Lizlu. So he says we're this Yusaimim we're eating, Lav did hu Lizlu. It's not by them did it go down. Basar Shavkayu Amrle Imla Iza Gufa de Uvda Hechi. What exactly was this case? What happened over here that you're talking about these Yisaimim, that there was something that belongs to the Yisaimim, and that you were lenient by them? What exactly is being said? So Amrle Hahu Duda, the Yisaimim had this copper cauldron. The Bnei Mar Ukva, the Havi Bey Mar Shmuel Takel V'yoyevle, that when it was given out, he would weigh it and then give it, and then Takel V'shakele, he would weigh it a second time, and then he would take it back afterwards. Shakel Agra V'shakel Pachasa. So in addition to the regular rental, as it was rented out to someone else, if there was any amount that was removed, for example, if there was any erosion, they would be charged extra for this. Now, this was apparently some type of a kula, that in addition to them receiving monies for the rental of this copper cauldron, also it was any erosions. So I agra will pchasa, the pchasa will agra, which I mentioned before. If we're dealing with a normal case of a rental, so then if it's normal wear and tear, you shouldn't have to pay for that. And if we're talking about you having to pay for its normal wear and tear, that's not a rental. So how could it be that they would have to be charged extra for the erosion? The truth is, this is something which is allowed to be done. They accepted upon themselves any copper deterioration. That every single time this is being used, this copper cauldron, there is an element of deterioration that takes place. And therefore, because of that, it's not considered to be a form of ribis at all. So therefore, even though, again, he's paying for the rental, but also you have to pay for this as well. Omar Rabba Bar Shil, Omar Rav Chisda, V'yermala, Omar Rabba Bar Yosef Bar Chama, Omar Rav Sheshes, Moshe Yisaimim. So when it comes to the monies of Yasam, Mutal Avos and Karvos Schar Barachak Lehefsid, we make an exception, even though this is, as we mentioned, is a form of avak ribis. Nonetheless, we allow it when it comes to the assignment. Even, what is this? That you could lend it out, that's karvos sachar, it says Rashi Shahiyu, Yisamin Noitel Chelch B'schar, that they will get an even portion of benefit. They Noitel Chelch B'hefsid, they're not going to absorb any losses. So normally what it should be is you absorb equally the gains and equally the losses. Here, it's a kula, which is TB27, that we allow this to take place, even though normally we won't. Rashi says, Abu Ribis Mamish Lo. Certainly, we're not going to allow Yisaimim to engage in ribis. But this, as Rashi says, is avak ribis. Remember, the Rabbanan, it's only din the Rabbanan. V'yasmil gazru shel yichum oisehim l'hachilim pruta achar pruta. We're concerned that they're going to end up losing all their money. And they don't have a family, they don't have anyone to help them. And therefore, because of that, we want to be more cautious to make sure their money remains. So therefore, even though normally we wouldn't allow this arrangement, but in this case we allow. Taraban. Karav l'sachar, if a person says, I'm going to get the profits, v'rochak lehefsid, but I'm not going to share my losses, so that's considered to be a rasha, because as we said, that's a case of avak ribis. Karav lehefsid v'rochak l'schar chassid. If you say, I'm going to absorb all the losses, and I'm not going to take the extra profits, that's someone who's a chassid going above and beyond. Karav zeh rachum zeh zuhi midas kol adam. So he says that we're gonna do equal for the losses or for the gains, so therefore that is normal. Okay, Omerle Rabbi Rav Yosef, Hani Zuzidi asked me, when it comes to this money, what should we do with it? How should we manage their money? So Omerle Moisvina Lahu Beidina. So basically we'll give over their money to the Beis Din, a trustworthy court. Yavina Lahu Zuza, and we'll give them money whenever they need it. We'll give them a couple bucks, a little allowance, give them a stipend. So Omerle Abba Hakach Kal Yikarna. But if you keep doing that, you have a certain amount of money, but eventually that money's going to go out, and maybe that's not a good thing to do. So maybe we should invest it somehow. So Omerle Mar Heichav, it's what you do. So Omerle, but Kinan, we investigate and we look for Gavri Islay Dahava Pericha. We look for someone who has, says Rashi, Guru Toy Shil Zahav, Devadi Shalohain, the Enan Pikadain, the Evidi Inshi, the Mafkani Dahava Pericha Bibikadain. Basically, you find this person who has money, who has gold, Vinaktinan Dahava Mine. And we will take this gold, Yavinan Lahu Nihile, and we'll give it as an investment with this guy. So Karav l'sachar v'rochak lehefsid, because he's a nice person, he'll allow the assignment to gain profit from all the gains and not to absorb the losses. Of a davar mitzuyim low. However, if it's just someone in general, not Dilma Pikadin Ninhu Yasimari Yoiv Simanim Vishakale, because otherwise it may not be a Pikadin. This guy may just have a Pikadin, he may not be wealthy, and therefore we want to make sure that we use someone that is a strong business person. Omer Ravashi Tenach, that's good. Imishtakach Gavra Islay Dahava Pricha, who has this gold. Yelo Mishtakach Gavra Islay Dahava Pricha. If we don't have this, so Nichu Zuz the Asmi, they're going to end up losing all their money. El Omer Ravashi Chazinin Gavri de Shapu Nichse, who Mehimin, someone who is trustworthy. Vishama Dina Deraisa, again he listens to the Torah. V'Omer Kabel Shemaita Derabanan V'Yavinu Hunihile Bebeidina, and we give it to him in front of the Beis Din, and therefore we give it to him, and again we make the condition of Karav l'sachar v'rochak lehefsid, and hopefully he'll be able to invest it properly. As we continue, Ayin Amud Beis. Says the next Mishnah. Says the Masnisin, Ein mekalban tzayin barzim Yisrael. So a person is not allowed to be mekalban tzayin barzim from Yisrael. In other words, when he's going to be liable, you're saying that you're going to be liable for all losses because that's considered to be ribis, mehishu ribis. Of a mekalban tzayin barzim an akum. However, you could do this when it comes to an akum. We're more lenient, and in fact, v'leiv mehenu malban oisim ribis. You can lend and borrow money from an akum with interest. V'chein beger taishav. So too when it comes to a ger taishav, who is on a higher status than an akum, malvi Yisrael ma'oisav shel akum, then you could borrow his money. Madasa akum avol madas Yisrael. Okay, so Gemara is going to explain what that line means. We'll see that in tomorrow's daf. Says the Gemara. So memra. So based on this, the brishus to the mekabel kaima. It sounds like these animals are in the manager's possession. And Rashi says, Uvachar Yusuf in Tiny Shehu Ribis. The fact that it says that he cannot be makabel this when he's liable for all of his losses because it's ribis, must be because the animal's like it's in the manager's possession and not the investor's possession. Or minhu hamakabel tzayin barzum in hanachrim. A person does this, takes these animals from Nachrim Vladais, its children are Patur min a Bechayra. Now, why? Why are they pater from Bechora? The fact that you're Mekabel Tzayin Barzal and Achim. Says Rashi, Alma B'Rishusa Denaisin Kaima. It must be it's in the Rishus of the giver. Di B'Achrayas the Mekabel Kaima. If it's in fact the Achrayas of the one who accepted it, the manager, not the investor, of my Paturin. So it must be the fact that you're pater from Bechora must be a raya that it's actually not considered to be like in the rishus of the manager, but rather in the rishus of the investor. So Rabbi Lokasha, so says Rashi, masnis in the Bechoros that we say it's in the investor's domain and not in the manager's domain, that he accepted the share of losses. However, our Mishnah is he did not accept these losses. If in fact he did accept this, so Tzayin Bar Karsle, he wouldn't be called Tzayin Barzal. That's Gufa against the language of Tzayin Barzal. Says Rashi, Elohim Poichasim Latzlai. But furthermore, at a tiny seifa of a Mekabel Tzayin Barzal Min Akum, it says you can accept from him. So Lifim B'Didei. Why don't you accept a little bit more clear and speak about the case itself and say B'Medim or Memorim Delo Kibaleha Unsavazula. When do we say this? That it's not allowed is only when he accepted upon himself the losses. Of a couple where he did not. Of a couple mar unsavazula, if he did, Sharbadami would be allowed. We're talking about the investor doesn't share in the losses. So why by the Bechor do we say that the Bechor that he's pater from pater? So the Bechor is time of the Vladas Patur and Bechor. The reason why the offspring are pater from Bechor, Kivan, since the Ilu Yov Zuzi, you didn't give him money, Yasa Nachri Tafis La Behema. The Nachri would grab as payment the animal. The Ilu Mashkach La Behema, if he didn't get the animal, Tavzul Vladais, he would actually take its offspring. And therefore, since this Nachri has a yad in taking it, he's involved in this animal. So that's the din, that whenever we find that a nachri is somehow has his hand potentially in this, so therefore you're going to be pater from b'chayra. Question TA26. Havakabel tzayin barzal min akum v'lados patur min b'chayra. Madua v'lados shel hachatzi shel Yisrael gam ken paturos. So why do we say that they're pater when it comes to it's still connected to the Yisrael? So when I'm saying Maskana Kivan di Ilu Yoiv Zuze, if you didn't give him the money, then Tavazle Akam Behema, Ol Vlados, he'd be able to take the animals. Have a Yad Nacher Be'emsa, and whenever we find Yad Nacher Be'emsa, the din is, as we said, that's Pater and B'chayra. Okay, now we get into a little bit of Agada to finally. Mar Behoinoi Beneshech V'tarbis L'chaynin Dalim Yikbetsenu. So my L'chaynin Dalim, so it seems like this is coming to tell us that an individual who charges interest, in which you think this is a great idea because you're going to be profitable, but the truth is you're going to end up losing all of your money that you charge for interest. So Omrav Kagayin Shvor Malka, we find this just like this Shvor Malka, who is Melk Pras, that used to take money continuously from Jews, and it says Rashi, V'noitel Mammon Yisrael V'chaynin Behen Dalim Nachem Shein Dalim in a mitzvahs. So Rav Nachman Amrli Huna L'Nitzrocha El Ne'afilu Ribas Avi Kachavim. Actually, it's coming to tell us that even when it comes to Ribas Avi Kachavim, Sheisrael Noitel Mina Avi Kachavim Yard Latimoin. That even a Yid who charges interest, that money that he charges with Akim, even the Mishnah said that you're allowed to, that also is going to be lost. So it seems maybe you're not allowed to charge ribis to an akum. So fine. So but that's what he says. So ace, that's what the pasuk means. That you still, even though maybe it's allowed, you're going to lose your money. Ace Rabbi Nachman. When nachri tashich, it says beferish you are allowed to charge a nachri interest. My tashich lav tishich, right? Says Rashi. Shemuter atalika chimenu neshach. You're allowed to take from him interest. Lo tashich. My tashich lav tishoch lo tashich. Says Rashi, Davka Kaimer, Ata tain lo ribis. You giving him ribis. Not that you take ribis, but maybe you can take ribbis, you can atantain loy ribbis, you can give him ribbis, but you can't take interest from him. So lo sagi de lav hachi lafuki achicha. Don't we have the pasuk says to your brother, do achicha behedya. It's talking about it's coming to exclude your brother. You can't charge him interest. Do achicha behedya ksibboy. Do achicha latashich. It says beferish that you can't charge your a yid interest. So maybe again, it's just telling you you're over on two things. And I say, and I'll also say for charging a yid interest. Esvei. So again, it says beferish that you're allowed to charge interest and be charged interest. You can take money and you can get. So what do you mean? It's only talking about giving money as interest, even if you take money from an akum. So there is a leniency, but it's only to an extent. As we continue to Ayin Aleph Amud Aleph, Ela b'chtei chayav. Says Rashi Hitirlo, you're only allowed to take just for your livelihood. We don't want you to do this more. Midrabanan, we don't want you to charge interest to an akum more than b'chtei chayav, whatever that means. When do we say that it's, says Rashi, when are you allowed to engage in ribbis with an akum? That's only if you're a Talmud Chacham. So time goes a Rabbanan. Why did the Rabbanan say that you should not charge interest to Nachrim Shemi Yilma Mamasav? You may end up learning from their actions, or you end up being more like them. The Kiban, the Talmud Chacham, who will Yilma Mamasav, you're not going to learn from them. Igni Mamasav Aha de Rabhuna Aha. The Tani Rabbi Yosef, the pasuk says, "Im kesav talve." So if you lend money, as ani yimach, to the people poor people are with you, ami v'nachri. So if it's me, people in your nation, v'nachri non-Jew, ami kaidim. You're supposed to give to a yid first. Ani v'asher ani kaidim. Obviously, if poor and rich, you should give to the poor person first. Ani achav ani yircha ani yecha kaidman. If it's your poor, the people in your city, you have to take care of the people in your house first. If it's your city or someone else's city, you should help the people in your city first. So if it's me and a nachri, so the yidden should come first. Pshita. Why would you not think that? Even in a situation where you can actually make money by charge, you have a limited amount of money, you can give money to a nachri and make money off interest, or you should give it to a Yisrael b'chinam, and obviously you can't charge him interest. So the din is, the halacha is, you're supposed to give the money to Yisrael, even though you're actually maybe losing money, nonetheless you're allowed, that's what you're supposed to do. Adkan.